me and Vince, yes, we are good friends now, but I still get, I tell my wife this, I'm telling V the first time, I'm telling him this. Every time I see his name pop up on my phone, I'm like, baby, you realize Vince Carter texted me?
The VC show, let's go. It's time to turn it out. The VC show, let's go. Let's go.
Yes, sir. Welcome to the VC show presented by Caesar Sportbook on Omaha Audio. I'm Vince Carter, and of course, Ros Gold-Onwude right here. What's up, Ros? How you doing?
I'm
What's
good,
new?
man. What's new? It's the start of the NBA season. It's everything.
Yes, sir.
The NBA's here. Everything's going. Oh, you know what else is here?
I do. Actually, I do.
We got a guest. This is you brought somebody on. Somebody's here.
Always, yeah, man. I get excited, and I always like to give my guests a hard time, but at the same time, I mean, it's always like Ros, good people. It's going to have good conversation, and we're switching it up this time, Ros. Like we're bringing football.
I know
to our show, but not just football. But this is a guy who loves basketball. And I know that for a fact because he's shown me some love when I've come to town in Orlando, former Bucks player. So he would just make that trip over to come check me out. Without further ado, my guy, Gerald McCoy. For those who are Tampa Bay Bucks fans, we all know and love this guy so much. He's my personal friend. Gerald, thank you for joining us, my man. Appreciate it.
Time out. See, Vince going to be like, oh, yeah, my boy Gerald's here. And I'm the one that's going to give flowers. We got a first team All-Pro.
Well, I was going to get there.
Six-time Pro Bowl. This is the defensive tackle, Gerald McCoy himself. So you say you love ball. Like, do you have a go-to move? What position would you play in ball?
I love watching basketball. You need to add that watch it on there. Now, playing it was not my thing. But when I did play, I'm a defender in football. That's all I did then. I was an effort guy. Football players be thinking we can play. All we do is foul hard and rebound. We don't do much else.
Well, there's a couple. Now it's funny because I kind of figured you're going to say this, and I was thinking about this all day. Is all, like you said, all they do is rebound and foul hard. But at the same time, there has been some football players who's had some success in college as well as the NBA. I personally played against a few myself. Tony Gonzalez to be one of them, who was a small forward. So we're not talking about power forward center. He was a small forward. And when he played at California, and I had to guard this guy, I was like, wait, what? And we know Draymond played football in college a little bit. Antonio Gates
went to Carolina,
and of course Julius Peppers, who was uber athletic to go with power.
Jimmy Graham played for Miami.
Oh, that's right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
that's right.
How do you guys know each other?
Can I tell the story?
Go ahead.
All right. So, I mean, me and Vince, yes, we are good friends now, but I still get, I tell my wife this, I'm telling V the first time, I'm telling him this. Every time I see his name pop up on my phone, I'm like, baby, you realize Vince Carter texted me? We're like, yeah. She was like, why are you still? I'm like, this is Vince Carter. Like, what are we talking about? For me, that don't go away. So how it happened is I wore a jersey. I wore one of the throwback Raptors jerseys, and we had a mutual friend. There was an employee at the Bucks that knew Vince, and
shout out to Stephanie.
Like, yeah, shout out Steph and Vince. She was like, "Yeah, Vince, I told him wore a jersey, see his jersey. He's a Bucks fan. He right." I'm like, "Wait, hold up, bring that back." I'm like, as in Vince Carter, like half man. She was like, "Yeah." I said, "Man, listen, tell him whenever he is free, please come to practice." And that's how we met. He came to practice, came to the preseason game, and from that point on, anytime he hit Orlando, I'm there. I was there. Yeah, man.
Yeah.
That's my guy.
Yeah. And when she mentioned it to it, I saw it on social media. I guess it was a post game. It was a post game interview, right? When he had it on, it was when I saw it, and I retweeted it. And she said, I was like, yo, I had no, and so I was like, heck yeah, I'm a Bucks fan. I'm there. So I made the trip.
Oh my gosh, I forgot to ask you. How was the Bucks game? You were there?
You trying to be funny? Yeah, I was there.
Wait, hold up. Wait, what? Hey, Roz, hold on. Don't do that. Don't do that now. Listen, let me tell you a little bit about me. I grew up a Bucks fan. I was drafted to the Bucks, played there 9 years, so that's always my family. So you got to tread lightly. We're not doing that.
No, she did that.
We're not starting like that. We can get into that later. We're not starting like that. Come on now.
Right. And you put in the work and the time way before Tom Brady got there. So like
he did
a foundational piece
for
of
sure.
that. Hey, look, can I have something to jab at Vince with? Because there's so much greatness. Can I have a little banter with it?
Right.
What else do I have, Gerald?
Right. I was there, and sitting there. It's one of and it's cool for me to be just a fan. And I'm a like I said, Bucks fan for a long time through the ups and downs, goods and bads, and my fandom's been questioned. Now that Tom Brady here, but I'm glad to have somebody on here who knows for a fact that I've been a Bucks fan. Warren Sapp, another friend. Yeah, Warren Sapp, another friend of mine who's a Bucks fan. But
give you validation.
So it was tough. It was tough, Roz, and whatever. It's a long season though. It's a long season. Can't win them all, right?
My first time at a Bucks game where I wasn't either playing against them or playing for them was this year. My youngest, obviously, I brainwashed him. So his favorite team is the Bucks, and they came to Dallas, played the Cowboys, and he didn't know we was going, but I knew if he knew that they came to town and I didn't take him, he wasn't gonna like that much. So I took him, and I actually sat in the stands for the first time ever at an NFL game, and it was like I thought I wasn't gonna like it. I had fun because people tapping me on my shoulder, Gerald, how you feel about this? And I'm talking to the guys on the sideline because these are still my teammates. So I'm like trying to coach them up. I'm talking crazy to the Cowboys fans. I was like, is this what it feel like? I'm talking about the stuff these fans say in the stands.
So I want to ask you that because I've experienced this a couple of times. It's like as a player, you think as a player and situational. Well, the situations and obviously time and score and clock management, blah, blah, blah. And then to hear a fan say whatever, sometimes I just want to like, what? Like, are you watching the game? Did you experience that? Or, while you were sitting there, just like you hear a fan blurt out something like, throw the ball when they should probably run in. You're just like, wait, what?
Yeah.
How did you handle that?
So the first time it happened, one of the linebackers made a tackle on Leonard Fournette out of bounds. And one of the fans was like, oh, way to go. You tackled him when he's out of bounds. I'm like, well, it's kind of the only way he could have got there. Is like, he was like, it's too late now. I'm like, come on, man. Like, you just want to be angry. Like, he's on the sideline. Where else is he supposed to tackle?
He's out of bounds. Right.
He's out of bounds. Like,
yeah.
They just be sad. They just fans. And the reason I love fans is because it's short for fanatic. So they're like truly invested. So when I'm sitting in the stands and hearing like this guy's like, Mom, calm down. She's like, no, he needs to get fired. I don't know why he's here. He sucks. We need to bring him. I'm like, man, they are really invested. Like I'm laughing and my son's sitting there and she's cursing. She's like, I'm sorry. I know you got your son. I'm like, it's fine. Like I'm loving this. Because you don't get to experience that. Because you either, you on the sideline, you on the bench or whatever, or you in the game, you don't get to experience that portion of it. And I had fun. Like my dad used to try and tell me like, gee, man, these people in these crowds be crazy. And I'm like, yeah, I'm sure they fans. But to like actually experience it is like
next level.
Yeah, it was different. And then it was Cowboys fans.
Oh,
so they were next level crazy.
So since we got you here, before we dive deep into some basketball, and now that you're watching the games and kind of absorbing it from a different standpoint with the fans, but how are you liking? Like, what are your biggest takeaways at week 3?
The Bucks, we still best team in the NFC. Yeah, I said it. All those Saints fans who gave me a hard time about us beating them last week. I mean, all right. The MVP favorites, the MVP leaders right now.
Vince, I want you
Jalen Hurts and Lamar Jackson.
Yes.
They're leading the MVP race right now. Those guys are playing lights out. Lamar done hit the whole Baltimore organization with their usher. Lamar's in there like this right now. He is not messing around. Lamar is not messing. Hey, he said, they said, oh, Lamar, We don't know if you can, if you worked on your passing. We don't know if you can throw. Lamar, that thing like this. He is not having it. But, man.
And when you look up bet on yourself in the dictionary, right now you're going to see Lamar Jackson in action.
He is.
Vince, that's your MVP too?
Yeah. That's right
now. And the thing about Lamar is a lot of people, he's not your conventional quarterback. He's not doing it like what we think it should be done like, but he's getting it done. And the thing Coach Harbaugh said is he's doing it his way. And there's nothing wrong with it. I think sometimes status quo is okay with us, but we forget, like, there's a lot of different ways to get the job done.
My grandma said there's a lot of ways to skin a cat. That's
what I'm saying. And, like, we just to see a quarterback alone do one game, throw 3 touchdowns and have 100 yards rushing. He did it in back-to-back games.
Yeah.
And that's not the first time he's done that. So it's like, he's just playing lights out right now. And then Jalen he's leading them boys, man. I say the Bucs are the best in the NFC because I'm biased, but the Eagles are playing the best right now. They as a whole. Yeah.
I just want to ask you one quick, what's your thoughts on Tua and the way he's been talked about and slandered in the offseason to play like this? Because it's to me, I'll say this. I think it's all about opportunity. Sometimes when guys are put in situations where it's tough for them to succeed, they need this and that to succeed. That's just what it is. And we see that with other quarterbacks. You see a lot of these quarterbacks have success or teams have success when you have the right fit. And I think this is what's happening to Tua right now. You're seeing people, now circling back saying or talking differently about Tua from what they were saying this summer. What are your thoughts on what you've seen?
Well, what got Tua drafted is what he did at Alabama with the track team he had. And, he got 2 of the fastest guys in the NFL on his team that are not only super fast, are very talented wide receivers. They can run they can run the whole route tree. But then if you don't have 2 on them, like, you in trouble. And there's 2 of them, so you can't double both of them. And I just think he had so much success when he had a lot around him. Chase Edmonds is there, running back now. And I'm not surprised by his success because of the pieces around him. Put him in the right system and build an offense around him, which is what they did at Alabama, and we've seen what he can do. And they rolling right now. Yeah.
They put the pieces around and build around what's the quarterback's strength. So,
that's why
now
Lamar
it's no
is doing
excuse.
What he's doing.
Correct.
That's why Lamar's doing what he's doing. You can't take Lamar and put him in the Patriots offense that Tom Brady was running.
Right.
You're not gonna get that. But if you put an offense that's built for Lamar, you getting what you're getting.
Okay, well, I see the passion here between you guys on this football. And I know you've clearly stated your allegiance to the Bucs. Who are you a fanatic or a fan of for the NBA? Like, who
Lakers.
Oh, how perfect!
My favorite teams are Lakers. I love anything Oklahoma, so the Thunder I'm always gonna root for. But my team is the Lakers. And crazy, it started playing NBA Live in Little League football. We play these tournaments on the weekend. We would go to somebody's house and we play video games in between games. Well, Derek Fisher was shooting. This is his rookie year. He kept hitting threes. The guy he was playing, he kept hitting threes with Derek Fisher. And I'm like, man, who is this light-skinned dude on the Lakers? All I knew was Jordan. As a kid, you just know Jordan. Like, all these other players, but all kids, we like Jordan. So it's like, right. Oh, the light-skinned dude hitting these threes on the Lakers. And then you hear about this kid. It's like, man, it's this high school kid that played for the Lakers. Obviously, we know who that was. And from that point on, I started liking the Lakers all because of that video game. And I just stuck with them. Kobe ended up being Kobe. And I just like, it don't matter what happened, I rock with the Lakers.
Okay. How you feeling about this media day, like, just splashed off with all the different teams around the NBA. The NBA season is here, y'all.
It is.
And coming out of that, like, Russell Westbrook basically, I feel like, is at minimum saying all of the right things. He said, whether I wanted it or not, it doesn't really matter. I'm all in on whatever it takes for the team to win. Do you believe Russ? Do you think he would come off the bench if that was the right thing?
I think if you go off history, probably not. Russ doesn't give off the energy that he would be okay coming off the bench, but I think we should all just give him a chance. Let's just see. We don't know. I think for Russ to say, yeah, I'll be willing to come off the bench or I'm willing to do whatever, and us to just write him off without even giving him a chance to see, I think that's wrong. But I think it's also, you can't say a person is wrong for saying like Russ would never do that, because that's just the energy he give off, you know. So I just believe that we gotta give Russ a chance. And see, the thing of it is, I told y'all I'm Oklahoma City too. Russ was he was with the Thunder, so I rock with Russ. Yeah. And I think because his season wasn't up to par, I think people are forgetting he just had the Wizards in the playoffs the year before. And when last time we seen the Wizards in the playoffs? You know what I'm saying? Like, we can't just write people off because they have a down year. So I think we should just give Russ a chance and see if he can shake back. You know?
Well, I'll say this to that, and I agree with you. I just think it's kind of how he went about it is what turning people off to wondering, will he be able to do it? You know, because in the beginning we all said the exact same thing. You said Russ not going to the bench, and he gave off that energy. He kept that energy from starters. Like, bro, I'm not coming off the bench. So now to hear him say he's willing to do whatever. Now we want to see that. Like you said, I agree with you. Let's give him a chance. Let's see if this works. And I think that's the way the Lakers are going to handle this. All right, let's just see what this looks like in the first part of the season as far as buying in. Because summertime, media day, we all feel like, I mean, there's the reality, and then there's the honeymoon. We all feel like we're good enough. We're going to win. Things can happen.
All
everybody's healthy. Blah blah blah. It's exactly the honeymoon phase. You know, and that's what's it.
Full.
Correct. And that's it. So let's just see when now you kind of hit that bump in the road. You know, there's situationals, or Coach Darvin Ham has to make a decision where maybe Russ is not playing well that game early, and he sits him. And maybe he's playing a younger guy or whatnot, and let's say maybe things don't go well when he sits Russ. How does he handle that? Maybe it's a time or two. Maybe the first time he's bad or whatever, he bounced back. But so I just want to see those things. But like I said, let's give him a chance.
And that's why I think it's really important that Darvin Ham is backed by and empowered by guys like LeBron and, of course, AD. And I actually saw that at Media Day. LeBron came in and immediately he said Darvin Ham, he should have been a head coach. Darvin Ham said he wanted to come in and make them a more defensive team. LeBron was asked, what is your main focus point, or where do you want to grow the most as a team? And LeBron said defense. Like, he was echoing the pillars of Darvin Ham. And I feel like we've had Darvin Ham on the show. And have you spoken to him or met him, Gerald? He seems like the type you don't mess with. You respect him.
All his interviews I've watched, he give off like, "Hey, don't play. Don't play. Don't do play it." No. And I just to piggyback what you said. One, yes, defense for sure, but you gotta, in order to get teams to quote unquote fall in line, your guys have to fall in line. And it's like, because football is what I know, to give my example, it's like the Patriot way with Bill Belichick. They say he's just, like this just like mastermind, like tough, hard-nosed coach, and he's hard to play for, but they keep winning. Well, what was the common denominator in them steady winning? It was Tom Brady enforcing everything. If you hear about everything that was going on in the locker room, they always say the happy medium was Tom. Tom would tell people, hey, listen, I know it's kind of like this, but if you trust me, if you do it this way, we will win. Just do it like this, let him handle it, and we will win. And they did. I mean, 6 chips. Like, so I understand what you're saying. Like, LeBron, AD, these guys have to enforce, and then Russ, if Russ does what he's saying, and let's say, V, like you said, he does get benched, and he just handles it. He's like, hey, listen, I wasn't up to par. I understand my role, because roles change as we get older. As I got older in the game, my role changed. I went from playing 75+ percentage of the snaps to playing 45, 50, because roles start to change. If Russ can say, okay, I understand my role has finally changed, like Melo did. It took Melo a second to say, hey, listen, okay, my role has changed. But when Melo embraced it, We
He
got some
took
great
off.
games out of Melo.
Absolutely.
He took off. And I feel like Russ can do the same thing. If he would just embrace that role and say, you know what? Okay, this is my role to get us here. Sky's the limit.
And I want to say this real quick. I think this is all preparation for the playoffs, because if you can figure and fine tune and tweak all of this now, you have different ways to use Russ come playoff time, because we know the playoffs, everything slows down a little bit. Sometimes it's half court, okay? But when you want to play faster, you can put the ball in Russ's hand and let him dominate segments, quarters, and stuff like that. So I just think getting him to buy in now and then figuring out how to utilize him, having, all right, at the 6-minute mark of the first quarter or the second quarter or early in the second, we kind of play through Russ, and Russ can get that fix and feel good, because obviously second half of the game, last 6 minutes is when you want to utilize your best players and your best plays. So hopefully you can get that idea come playoff time early in the season.
When is that time in the season? Because we in the NFL, we have this belief in the locker room, real football is played November and December. And that's when you find out, like, who's who. The first 8 weeks, you could have a team. I've seen teams start 8-0 and then dang near miss the playoffs. Because that second half, when everybody, okay, now we know who we are. We got our groove. This is who are the true competitors. Like, these are the true contenders right here. When is that time, like, in the NBA season? Because it's so many games played. When do you know?
I think it depends for a lot of I think it depends on a lot of teams, because typically you say after All-Star break is when you kind of you're placing yourself. But for some teams, it can be early in the season when things go wrong and they just can't recover and it's over early. A lot of bad teams, when they hit a little controversy or hit that bump in the road, and just kind of everybody checks out. So I think the time, but typically, you say once you get to All-Star break, after that, guys are kind of trying to position themselves, and that's when you typically see teams hit their stride preparing for the playoffs. Typically.
So were you taking, because it is an 82-game season, way different beast than, it's different beast, not to say one is harder than the other, the way the flow of an NFL season is versus an NBA. Vince, did you guys ever take nights off, or like what was your mindset approaching it?
It depends on who you are. So as a team, well, I don't know. I don't want to say the answer. We try not to. You come to play. So like the NBA when I started is different than the NBA from what I finished. So you didn't think about you just play. You just play, and now it's just kind of it's different. Guys, they take the night off. They're resting guys because they want them fresh for the second part of the season, typically All-Star, break. Greg Popovich was a mastermind with that. And that's kind of, what he did. You remember when he set his guys down, because he's like, okay, fine me. But with my guys are hurt and not ready for the second part of the season, then what do we do? So I just think teams want to get a early start. I think it's important for the Lakers to get a great start. I think you break the season up 10 games, and you want to get out of there at what is your number? Do you want to, for them, do you want to 7-3, whatever their goal is, and you break it down like that and hit your stride early. And then you can kind of figure out where you can get your rest days, because things are going to change because of, teams are injured and not playing guys, and, you can strategically sit guys the way it is now. So it's just different, Russ.
I think the point that you made that is different for different teams is really valid. Like, I don't like the switch method. I'm old fashioned. I like working on habits. I think.
What do you mean what do you mean the switch?
Method is like you could just turn it on.
Yeah. Gotcha.
We're so good, we can turn it on. I remember when I was covering Warriors teams, that term would come up a lot. Like, can the Warriors turn the switch on? And sometimes they were good enough, but you'd often hear the guys saying, "Hey, we got to respect we got to respect the craft. We got to respect the game. We have to go hard in practice. We have to go hard through all the quarters, and just, really bring the right energy and workmanship to it." But I feel like a young team and a new team like the Cavs, the beginning of the season, practices might really matter in a different way than perhaps the Bucks, who, basically are a well-oiled machine at this time. But good starts and good habits are important for any team.
But you brought up the Bucks. I was just about to ask about Giannis.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think Giannis, for a majority, being looked at as the best in the league right now, do you think
Hold up.
his energy? Well, I mean,
Giannis just said at Media Day today that Stephen Curry is his best player in the world. He said, I think the
But
best
why?
player. All right. He said the best person in the world is the last man standing. He said that Sunday, excuse me. And he said it's the person that takes his team to the finals and helps them win that game. That's how I view it. I believe the best player in the world is Stephen Curry. Let's see. Do you agree with that?
One of them.
yeah.
Who's your best
He's
player?
one of. He's one of.
I think it's a group of those guys who are in the mix that can I think
Oh, I'm glad.
Kevin
I'm
Durant.
glad we doing this because I got to. Oh, I'm glad we doing this. Okay, I got real quick. Let's use Steph. You can use Steph or Giannis. Let's use Steph or Giannis. Do you think their nightly energy? Because sometimes you see guys like Kevin Durant can walk on the court and give you 30. Okay, he just can. But then you see a guy like Giannis, his energy on both ends of the court. You never look at, like, if Giannis has a night off with his energy, it'll be very, very apparent to everybody because he plays at such high energy all the time. Do you think that him and people like Steph that's running nonstop and their energy level is why people view them as the top?
Can I ask you a question with that?
Uh-huh.
So you said Kevin Durant can step on the floor and give you 30 at any time.
Mm-hmm.
Do you feel like Giannis can step on the floor and give you 30 at any time? And I asked that now you're thinking of Giannis with the energy. Well, okay, without the energy, and it's not a knock, a diss or anything. It's right, but the playoffs is like you have rest in between. I just think it just all varies on the player. Steph walks out there and gives you right. It's just so easy for him, and Giannis plays with energy. That's what he knows. That's how he plays, and. When you see Giannis taking something off, you're thinking you're taking a playoff or whatever. You're like, man, is he hurt?
Right.
Is he hurt? Like, I mean, it's just, that's just, So it's hard to look at it. I do think Giannis is one of the top 5 in the best in the game right now.
The VC show, let's go.
All right, people, we're brought to you by Caesars Sportsbook, the greatest sports betting app ever, and honestly, the only one you need. It's not just about the big bonuses and boosts and promos that you get. It's the fact that every time you bet, whether you win or lose, you're earning towards the types of perks only Caesars can offer. Free stays, concert tickets, bonuses, and more. That's because when you download the Caesars Sportsbook app, you become a Caesars Rewards member, and that means perks. Must be 21 or older to gamble. Gambling problem? Call or text 1-800-522-4700. Football season is here, and nothing beats seeing your favorite team live. Not only does Vivid Seats have great NFL ticket prices, they're also the official ticketing partner of ESPN. And with Vivid Seats rewards, when you buy 10 tickets, you get the 11th free. Download the app or visit vividseats.com today. Vivid Seats, life happens live. Receive a reward credit equal to the average price of 10 tickets purchased, excluding taxes, fees, and processing costs. See vividseats.com/rewards for terms and conditions.
Have the international players just more than just taking a jump, kind of taking over the reins of the top at the NBA?
That's interesting.
Because you have the last 4 MVPs.
Giannis, Luka
have come from international players. Luka is a 3-time in a row first team All NBA. Technically, Joel Embiid is. Technically,
he African.
That's what I'm saying. But a lot of people, but because he went to Kansas, and a lot of people would say like, "Oh, well, no, he went to
high school here in Florida."
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But he can't play with the USA team, so he's an international player. Right. So that's what I'm saying. We looking at 5 players. I mean, granted, it just depends on how you look at it, but
it's an interesting point.
It's a great point.
I would say that's part of what the NBA has been doing this whole time with the globalization of the game. They've been planting seeds. It's two sides of it. It's been the NBA's globalization, like putting different Basketball Without Borders camps in different countries around the world. It's also been the advancement of social media and technology that has, like, people all over the world can watch games or highlights or discover stars. In fact, like, Joel Embiid has actually said he learned about basketball. He didn't watch no basketball games on ESPN. Like, he watched YouTube clips. Right. That's how he learned about basketball. So I think social media has changed the international, like, scope of the game. But you're right, there's some bad boys coming out.
I mean, you look at that ranking right there.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. And V, there's a time where I would really have to like think back, but Dirk was really like the first like international like.
Well, I'll say Drazen Petrovic was a superstar as well. We can't forget him. May he rest in peace.
Right,
but he was like insane in the league before he passed in a car wreck. But Drazen would have been. I'm talking about up there like this, like what we consider Luka, in my opinion. And then you had other stars, but I think then. Since then, you had, I mean, let's not forget about Ginobili.
Mm-hmm. Right.
You know, first of all.
Yeah, of course.
That dude was
absolutely.
You had, you know, and then,
listen.
Right. And then you go to Dirk. And then so these guys, the international players, had people to look up to. And like, wait a minute. Not only are they great players and heroes of ours, they are superstars in this league who are constantly in the championship and always talked about. And that's motivation on top of what you said. Like you said, Roz, you have social media and YouTube like these players could look at. Back when I was coming out of high school, you couldn't do that. You know, and I want to use an example. Like we talked about football players that could play basketball. Warren Sapp was a great basketball player in high school. I couldn't look him up, but I always heard about him.
Right.
You know, and that's just what it was. For us, we just say, oh, yeah, I heard about him. I didn't see it. Right. And then now it's like when you heard about somebody, let me go look him up. Oh, okay, this is who he is. And you learn about him.
Who's some of the best international players like you ever lined up against? And you were like, oh.
Ooh. There was Andrew Gaze. If you guys from Australia, if you guys look him up, that man could score. And you look at him, you're like, man, this guy looks old and can't move. Man, Andrew Gaze is a bucket. I mean, some of that list of there, I put Dirk in there. I actually put Tony Kukoc in there. Who when they talk about international players, that was tough. And I feel bad because I'm sitting here and forget players.
Do you guys feel like the international game advancement or players has pushed the NBA players to work to be more advance their skill set?
I think so, and I think it's a wake up call for the American basketball players. Yes, we have the skill, but look at the draft every year. I look at my draft. There wasn't that many players. I wish we can. I don't know the number of guys, international players that was drafted my year, but you look over the years now, like they're going to look for these players internationally. You know, it's talked about. Like it's just what it is, and this is a wake up call. You know, now a coach. We as American players, I would tell a young kid, don't take this for granted just because you can walk into an NBA arena and those guys can't. They work hard. This is a goal. This should be a dream and a goal, and you should approach it just like they are because you're seeing now Luka Doncic. So what Luka and Joel, if you look at that top five, what those four guys are doing for their culture, for their country, that is the motivation for their kids, for young kids from their country. Like, I can do this too. And for us as NBA players or Americans, we kind of get spoiled. We get spoiled, sure. And it's a wake up call.
I think you can see that in the Olympics too, like Olympic basketball and just the increased, competition over the years. And Vince, I know you can speak to that experience. I recently saw the Redeem Team. Dwayne Wade just put out a joint with Netflix, and it really did a very beautiful job of covering the pressure that started to be on the American national team as the rest of the world was starting to catch up or at least be more competitive. And, Vince will tell you, I come on here at least once a show and get on my African basketball soapbox. I truly believe, Gerald, that like 15 to 20 years from now, you're going to see a whole pipeline of excellent basketball or good basketball players coming out of Africa, because the Joel Embiid, Pascal Siakam, like there's so much body capital. And then right now the NBA is now investing in infrastructure and coaching, all of that. Just you got to give that some time. It's on the way. But I definitely think you could see that in the way we're seeing European players come to the NBA.
Have y'all seen the video of the kid that's in Africa? He's like creates his own workouts. Like he uses like concrete. He uses like little concrete circles, like concrete blocks to do like squats and bench press. He uses a old tire to dribble in between. He pulls a tire. He adds water bottles to it. Like y'all gotta look at him. He's on YouTube. I see him on Instagram all the time.
One thing, so I played for the Nigerian national team, and someone at home might be laughing, like, what? They doing what in Africa? And like one thing that I was surprised about was that, I mean, this was also like maybe like 10 or 12 years ago. Like I feel like I was surprised that there really weren't a lot of like indoor courts that were high level to work out on. Like we had to drive really far. Like we did practices on outdoor dirt courts. Like, and I know that is there needs to be more infrastructure is the point. Like, yeah, people are really working out just outside. That's all over the world.
You think about what the pipeline, like you said, Ros, and well, of course, China's China, but I think, you had a phenomenon like Yao Ming. And let me tell you, when Yao hit the NBA, what it did for, and I think it's happening, and it's going to continue to happen for Africa now, because the NBA is kind of backing it and going to and highlight it, and you have guys like Mutombo who does so much for Africa. Shout out to him. He's a great friend, and then you see someone like Joel Embiid year after year constantly talked about being the MVP or runner up for MVP. That means something, for young African kids who are having somebody to look up to, like, man, Joel Embiid, I can do that. I can be that. He's from Africa. He's like me, So I think look for it to happen soon.
Yeah, we got the guy. We need a name, producer extraordinaire. Who is this? But he's on YouTube wearing a Vince Carter jersey. His name is Nkwain Kennedy Lamiress. Excuse me for probably not pronouncing that right, but he's a Cameroonian basketball player. So check him out. He's on YouTube, and he's actually got a Vince Carter jersey on. But actually, because I was just talking about the Redeem team and their story of, after winning bronze, the pressure of coming back and getting the gold.
Yo,
you played.
This is crazy.
Like, see, you worldwide, man. I took a trip to Israel, and I was walking up the street, and it was a VC jersey. I said, "Wait, hold up, my guy way over here." How about that? There we go.
What was it like going up against different countries in 2000 at the Sydney Olympics?
Let me tell you something. The coolest thing for me, and I played in the Junior Olympics. I played it in a lot of international events, going to opening ceremonies and walking into that stadium with all of the countries and the mutual respect. We all speak different languages, but the mutual respect was like next level. I get chills every time I talk about it, just because that was one of the moments that I'll never forget. Like, it was great to sit on the stand and receive that gold medal, which is another obviously great moment. But to walk into that stadium, like, you watch it on TV and you see the lights and all the things, all of the glitz and glamour of it. But to walk in there and to see the different countries, and there were countries like, I was like, wait, I've never even heard of this country, and they're here performing, and it's just the respect, and like, these are the top level athletes around the world, and obviously we all that wanted to take pictures. I mean, mind you, I'm there with like Serena. We talking about like some of them, and it was just to be around those, and just everybody just kind of we were asking to take pictures with them too. It was just like, for me, it was a moment. Like, mind you, we had the little Walmart, the little click cameras, like we had that, but nevertheless, man, it was a cool moment just to be a part of that. It's just like we're all on the same playing field. And obviously, they looked at us, next level and put us on that pedestal. But it was like, man, I'm honored to be here as well.
Was that the year you guys stayed on the boat, or did you stay in the Olympic?
Yes, that was the years. Yeah, we were on the boat. That was that was interesting. That was during the labor strike.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we stayed in a hotel that was a casino. They had to shut down the casino, so you can imagine the casino lose how much money they lost. But we literally had to go get on the boat to get out. And the protesters, one of the lead protester, we had to meet with them each and every day to allow us to get out, and to it was wild. They would check our bus. I was just like, all right, cool, go ahead. Like, it was next level. I think they were protesting, for labor work.
Yeah. I feel like Olympics always attracts something. Like every 4 years, there's some kind of either issues, protests, health issue. Like there's so much going on, and it's a reflection too of like the world we live in. But that Sydney Olympics, you got the gold. You stayed on that boat, and you also had one of the biggest highlights of your career. So this past Sunday marked
I hit the game-winning shot?
No, you didn't. Marked the 22nd anniversary of your iconic dunk at the 2000 Sydney Olympics.
Yes.
The basketball community very much feels that this was the greatest dunk of
your
all
ability,
time.
Your ability to downplay, like your ability to downplay some of the greatest moments in not just basketball but sports history is incredible,
bro.
Like I'm sitting here, like
when she was talking, I was literally thinking about the game-winning shot.
Yeah, but Ross, that's what I'm saying. Like, Ross, we were sitting on sideline during a preseason game, and I'm like in awe. Obviously, most of us think like the 2000 dunk contest is like probably the best dunk contest ever. Vince, most people believe had the best performance ever, and I'm sitting here like really thinking to myself, man, everything I've been wanting to ask him, I'm doing it. I talked his head off for the whole game. We sat and talked an entire preseason football game. Do you know how boring and long a preseason football game is? We talked literally until the clock ticked 0. I said, listen, I don't know where this relationship is going, so I'm going to ask it now.
You might not see him again. You got to get him.
I didn't know. His ability to downplay some of the greatest moments in sports history is incredible. He's talking about, you talking about that. Yes, that. Yes. Why are we going over the anniversary of something if it's just that? No, it's not just that. No.
Okay.
This past Sunday marked the 22nd anniversary of that dunk.
Incredible. Incredible.
That dunk is 22 years old.
Yeah.
First of all, it's legal.
Yeah.
Bruh. That's a long time. Like, there's kids
legal
like who
are iconic. Legal and iconic.
It's I don't know, man. I still to this day, the one thing I always say is like, how come none of my teammates at the time it happened or right after it happened, as you would now after a crazy dunk, the reaction, they never said a word to me during that play. They never said anything to me. So after it happened, the celebration, whatever, with KG and I to play defense, it was a timeout. I remember sitting in the timeout and everybody just looking at me and just like, shaking their head. I'm like, all right, cool. Because I still didn't know. I didn't find out till after the game of what happened. So they're looking at me like, bro, you good? But meanwhile, I'm like, all right, it was a dunk and ooh and ah, cool. Until after the game, I'll never forget Gary Payton's guy on the little camera, the new small little camcorder. He's showing me, and I'm like, wait, run that back? Run that back again. So I watched it 7 times. So this is like literally off the court before I walked into the locker room. Then I'm like, oh, wait a minute. I jumped over him? They're like, yes. Such. You did. I was like, wait. But because all I remember, I promised the guy, I remember my forearm hitting him because I got the steal, so I'm trying to get to the rim before, he's 7'2", before he blocks it. So I'm trying to get up before him. for different guys, it's just different approach. This gonna sound weird. Just work with me.
Accidental freakish hops. Yeah.
Right. It was just, if a guy who looks like he's my height or whatever, I take my time. But like a bigger guy, I want to get up first. The Mutombos. If you look back at those dunks, I'm trying to get up before these bigger guys, because of the contact. They hit you way up there. It's a longer fall for me than them. So I got up first, and I just remember the contact. I'm worried about the rim. I tell the story all the time. I'm focused on the rim and making sure I make it because I thought I jumped too far. So that was my focus. So that's what I was celebrating. I wasn't celebrating that I just jumped over this man because I didn't know. KG was celebrating that. I'm celebrating that I didn't get hung and I made the dunk.
Wow.
So it just made for a cool moment. And, sidebar, I'm glad. I subconsciously knew KG was there. So that's why my celebration kind of went up. It didn't go forward as it normally would do. I kind of knew he was there. As I think about it right now, but yeah, if I didn't see him, I could have cold cocked my boy.
Can I piggyback that one with this? And I think people, and this is for both of y'all, because a lot of people feel like that's the greatest, if not one of dunks of all time. Vince, what would you say is the second greatest dunk of all time? Or at least a dunk that really stands out to you as someone who could really get up there. And Gerald, I'd love to hear.
Oh, somebody else. Okay, good. Whew. I thought you meant me. I was like, oh man, I can't think. Nah, I can't. Second grade. Ooh, wee.
B Diddy in the playoffs.
Over
Karolinko.
Yeah. Baron Day, we believe yours. Yeah.
Tom Chambers or Mark Jackson. I mean, a lot of people won't consider that, but like, bro, that's like next level. LeBron jumping over Jason Terry.
Yeah, like disrespectful dunks, like Shaq just dunking and pushing people on the ground. Like some real.
That was more disrespectful,
Dudley, right? And he threw it back at him.
Even like you got
wait a minute,
Amari over Patrick Ewing.
No, Amari Stoudemire on Clippers, 7-footer. He was the number 1 pick in the draft my year. Olowokandi. Amari Stoudemire on Michael Olowokandi. If you guys have not seen that, at some point, please go look that up.
Shoot, anything from Blake Griffin's rookie year. He was going stupid on everybody. He's an Oklahoma boy, by the way. I'm just throwing that out there. Love you, BG. That's my guy.
Gerald Green's windmill.
Yeah,
Gerald, man. Hey, listen.
For when he was with the Nets.
Mm-hmm.
What
about Sean Kemp?
The Lister Blister. Yes.
Take it back. You know what? While we on the topic of dunks, Aaron Gordon was robbed in the Toronto dunk contest.
Yes, he was.
In my opinion,
he was.
Joe, respectfully, you can dunk, yeah?
I used to be able to.
So
why you say it like that?
Yeah, man, these football knees, man, these football knees hit different when you're 34.
So okay. What about Zion? Will he get the next crazy highlight dunk, you think? Because they're talking about
he has a few.
Fully healthy.
He has a few.
Zion is more like a bully dunker, like a quick, off the ground. Like he's more like an aggressive, like get people off you dunker. Whereas a person like Ja would probably have he had one last year. One of them catch you off guards, come from the top of the key. Zion, he might just chest to chest you right there under the goal and dunk on you, But
for his size, he has hang time with that, which is impressive to me. And for a long time, I'm going to be that guy. That was my concern with him. It's like, that's a lot of body coming down more so. Yes, it's impressive that he has, but it's just at some point he's going to have to just imagine him slimming down and losing some in that weight.
I know.
And still jumping like that.
And my thing is, with Zion,
he becomes a cheat code.
The bull that he is, a lot of people are not going to try him. The guys who are more springy, but they're smaller guys will try him. Like V said, he knew with the bigger guys, he had to get up fast. So they'll try the smaller guys because they have size. I don't think that Zion will get – it's less likely that he'll do it because guys are not going to be trying him. Like, they know he got hops, but they also know he's bringing weight behind his, you know? So.
Well, Gerald, clearly you have a future as a basketball analyst, like, period. Like, we're going to bring you on as a regular guest on the show. But, you know, inquiring minds want to know, like, what exactly are your prospects right now career-wise? What's your thoughts?
Oh, for me personally?
Yes.
Oh, so right now I'm just staying in shape, staying ready. I can say now this will be my last season. I have back-to-back knee injuries, and the goal of mine, Warren Sapp was my favorite player growing up, and I set certain people that I admire and look up to. I set certain goals. Like, he made 7 straight Pro Bowls for the Bucks, so my goal is to make 7 straight. I got to 6. He played 13 years. This will officially, technically be my 13th year. So I said I was going to get to 13 years and then see what happens. So me just sitting, staying in shape. At my age, you kind of really, if you're not already on the team, you almost want to wait until like mid-season-ish to get your call, come in, start practice squad maybe a week or 2, and then go get your reps in. But right now,
like my guy Eric Weddle.
I'm telling you, listen.
You see, my guy Eric Weddle.
I'm gonna be honest.
I played golf with him. He said, "I'm retired." He was like, "Bro, I'm done. And the next thing I know, he gets picked up by the Rams and he wins the Super Bowl, and then he ends up having shoulder surgery.
I promise you, God be my witness. I was on the verge of saying, you know what? That's probably it. Wanted 13, but and then that happened, and I said, heck no. I'm at least let the season go past first.
Yeah.
Dude, he got picked up the week before the playoffs started and went and won a chip. He sat at home for 2 years.
He did. He said he was on the couch when he got a phone call. It was amazing. He
sat at home for 2 years, got a phone call the week going in the playoffs, and won it. Got a ring and went right back to playing golf
and
with
played
me.
Big minutes. He did. He was only supposed to play spot minutes.
He was starting, playing big minutes.
So
they say he tore his pec or something in the Super Bowl game or the game before something. And he was screwed. It's my last game anyway. I'm going.
Yeah. Shout out to Eric Weddle, man. That's my guy. He's a crazy guy, man. I love him.
So right now, that's where I'm at. And then post football, like I said, I'm starting a podcast. We'll start filming it in 2 weeks. But
what's the name? Come on now. What's the name?
I said what I said.
I said what I said.
I said what I said.
We're
going to discuss. Awesome. We're going to discuss so many different things because a lot of people, like when I go do interviews or if I get on TV, I get a lot of phone calls. Let's talk about football. And my oldest son, he told me, he said, Pops, if you signed on a contract to just talk football, you would be doing yourself a disservice. He said, because the way you think and the stuff you can discuss is so broad. Mm-hmm. You shouldn't just limit yourself to football. So on my podcast, the question of my podcast is, what has happened to our conversations? My podcast is about conversations and understanding opposed to debate. Debate is not a conversation. When you're debating, you're trying to win. When you're having a conversation, you're trying to understand. And I feel like we've gotten away from understanding each other. I can feel like Kevin Durant is this, and V can feel like Kevin Durant is that. And I can try and understand how he feels, and he can try and understand how I feel. We may not agree, but now we have an understanding. And we just had a conversation. It's all opinion, and we agree to disagree. But I believe there's so much conflict in the world now. And this country was built off conversation. We've gotten away from conversation. There's so much conflict. So my podcast is all about conversation. It's going to start with just me talking and then bringing on guests. And let's just have a conversation. Like fans love to talk to the players.
We're booking Vince Carter on your show
already.
I'm in.
Fans love to talk to the players. So I like to hear when a fan, like let's say that mom that was with the Cowboys, she was going crazy. I would bring her on and say, hey, tell me why you feel this way.
Yeah.
And then when she says all these things, now I can tell her from a person who's done it, this is actually what's happening. And you have to take into account, you have no idea you don't know if he had to get a shot to come out.
Put them right in that position. Give him something to think about. I like it.
Jameis has been playing the past 2 weeks with whole broken bones in his back.
That's right.
They don't care. They just want to see him perform. Justin Herbert got broken ribs. They don't care. They want to see him perform.
And he still played the next week. If you put an everyday person like, yo, you got to go to work next week with those broken ribs. They're like, bro, no, I can't.
For broken ribs, I'm not going to work. But Justin Herbert say his ribs is broken. They're like, man, you can't put some ice on it and go throw us some touchdowns. We need to cheer. You just see game day. You don't see what goes into that. Or even, I remember in 2018, we were getting ready to play the San Francisco 49ers. In warm-ups, I had a stinger because my teammate, he was so amped up. I don't know why. He hit me. We was doing a warm-up, and he hit me, and the shock went down the left side of my body, all the way down to my hand. I played the whole game, and I had no feeling in the left side of my arm, my left arm. I couldn't feel it. Played the whole game like that. Nobody would have known. They just know we are playing football. I couldn't feel I was using it, but I couldn't feel nothing. That's just something small of what we deal with. But what about relationships in general? Not just from person to person. What about husband to wife, player to player, NFL to NBA? There's a lot of different things that we'll discuss on my podcast, and I'm excited about it. Obviously, the first episode, we have to talk football. We're going to talk basketball. We're going to talk life in general and just different things, man. It's my podcast about conversation.
I love that. Well, first of all, I love the shift. I love the shift from debate to conversation, listening, and understanding. Like the show's name, by the way, if you forgot, is I Said What I Said. It could be I said what I said, but what do you have to say? It could be.
Welcome to I Said What I Said, but what you have to say?
Well, the thing is, I said what I said because I said what I said and I stand on it. But that don't mean because I said what I said,
I don't value what you have to say.
I'm open-minded about what you have to say, but I still stand on what I said.
It sounds like a good old listen. It sounds like one of the things you don't even got to see it. You could just listen, you chuckling, listening, cooking. So I cannot wait. We wish you the best with your, first of all, going out on a flaming rocket in your esteemed football career, and then for all the things you have after that. And we just want to say thank you for being here, Vince.
Thank you for
I can't wait. I know. I told we talked. I hit him up, and he was like, "Yo, what's going on?" Well, we check in a lot, and like I said, man, it's going to happen. Stay ready. You don't have to get ready. Obviously, you know how I feel about you. So, good luck. I know it's going to happen this season. I can't wait till you get that call up. I think, and I'm hoping the call up happens where where we want it to happen.
Yeah,
a great place for you to finish, but man.
Hey, listen, when I went to the game, I was on the sideline talking to everybody, and coach was like, "Hey, how you feel?" I was like,
I feel great. How you feel?
You got a jersey in the back? I'll show you. So
I love it.
Yeah, the conversation is there. So
come back on the show to break the news.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, hey, we'll do it. We can wait. We'll make sure we're available for that.
I got
you. If you got something to say, you can come say what you got to say. And lastly, Roz, I got to say it for him. We talked. I think everybody should know he was excited about getting the chance to talk about the NBA and talk basketball, being a football player, which is exciting for me. Me, Roz, I like to talk about other sports as well. It brings me excitement and joy, and I'm glad he got that chance to do it on our show and to show the world that he's very knowledgeable about basketball as well. Thanks, man. Appreciate you always.
I appreciate you guys. I love it, and I just respect other professions so much. I know I get a little upset about it when football NFL players like, I could play 5 minutes in the NBA. I'm like, bro, stop that. You disrespecting the game by saying that. Go sit courtside in one of them games and tell me you can. You don't know you can't.
You can
stop the nonsense. So I just respect the game so much, and I appreciate you guys. God bless you.
Always, man. Always. Salute, my brother.